Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you after a tough loss to the Astros on a Friday night. Final score, Texas 3, Houston 6. Hey, for those of y'all that watched the video that I put out earlier today, we got that exact score right, didn't we? 6-3, just the wrong way. The non-good guys took this one, unfortunately. So we have all the highlights, breakdown, scoring, key moments, all the post-game analysis you're looking for here in just a little bit. But of course, here right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a little bit of an extra emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, and especially the Rangers during baseball season, rain or shine, win or loss. We're here covering it for you. Thanks for choosing us. If you're not following the channel, you're not subscribed, please do so. Keep up with every time that we go live, get that notification, and also stay tuned for all of our latest and greatest content that we put out nearly every day. There's Rangers baseball, sometimes multiple times. So thank you. Know there's a lot of options out there. We appreciate you choosing us. Let me go ahead and get some comments here. Let me check this out. What's up? I see some people on YouTube tuning in. Yes, I did see that brawl, that Yankees-Orioles brawl. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. Tension's running high. I'll tell you what, that AL East, very competitive division, that AL East. So I'm not shocked. The tensions are rising high in some of those matchups. We'll get to that a little bit later. Natalie, what's up? What's going on with Corey? An error tonight, not like him. Actually had a couple of errors. We're going to break that down here in just a little bit. So appreciate the comment. I'm going to bookmark this one and come back to it. But again, thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. I think we got to go with the big lead, though. Kind of a nice segue there with that comment. Big lead for today has got to be the Rangers and just the very thin, razor thin margin for error that they had coming into this series, and really that they've been playing with over the past couple of weeks, right? The Rangers coming into this were 5 games under 500, 44 and 49. They now dropped to 44 and 50 under 500. You don't have very much margin for error when your record is that, and you're down 7 games in the division for first place. You're out 8 games for the wild card. They needed to get off to a good start in this series. My hope is that my prediction is wrong. I said that the first game of the series was going to matter a lot. Now, we know with baseball that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you lose the first game of a series and you reel off 2 straight or 3 straight and you end up winning it. But I kind of felt like tonight was going to be a little bit of a measuring stick. Would the Rangers come in with some fire? Would they come in with that laser sharp focus that you needed? I don't know. I feel like that it was very much lacking today. It's hard coming off of an off day. You just had lost to the Angels on Thursday night or Wednesday night, sorry. So I don't know. The focus just didn't seem there for me. There was really no hitting except for Corey Seager and Marcus Semien tonight. In fact, everybody not named Seager or Semien went a combined 2 for 18 at the plate. Adolis Garcia had a hit. Travis Jankowski had a hit. Everybody else, 0 for. So you're not going to win a lot of games when the only people hitting in your lineup are your first 2 hitters. Corey Seager did all he could from an offensive standpoint, hitting the 2-run homer, the RBI single. Seager accounted for all of the runs tonight for the Rangers. I mean, and look, I will get to Seager and his play in the field momentarily here, but Corey Seager at least got some redemption with the bat. 2-run homer that made it a 3-2 game, and then the RBI single that at least made it reachable at that point. It was 6-2, made it 6-3. 3-run deficit in the late innings is never ideal, but at least you're within striking distance. So Marcus Semien came into this matchup dominating Hunter Brown. He was 7 for 11 off Brown. I think he collected another 2 or 3 hits off of him tonight. So Marcus Semien has Hunter Brown's number. Some pretty incredible stats for Simmy against Brown in his career at this point. But it wasn't enough when the rest of the lineup is going a collective 2 for 18. You're not going to win many games, even if your two best hitters are on. And right now, the Rangers, in that bottom half of the order, really everybody not Marcus or Corey needs to step up. This wasn't the effort from the offense that you wanted to see coming out the gates in Houston. Hopefully they wake up, and tomorrow and Sunday are new days for them, but the offense came out very sluggish, just not the effort that you wanted to see. Josh Smith, 3 strikeouts. Nate Lowe, 2 strikeouts. Dolly was on base a couple of times, was hit by a pitch. We're going to cover that. It had a nice opposite field line drive single as well, but it was not the Rangers' night up at the plate. Just the all-around effort was not there. And let's talk about the defense. So the Astros in, I believe, the bottom of the third inning were able to push across an unearned run, largely in part to a couple of errors by Corey Seager. So first of all, Corey Seager booted a ball, kind of had a little weird spin on it, but would have been an out for a major league shortstop. It's a play you have to make. So rightfully so, Seager gets the error on a ground ball. And if I'm going back, I'm just going to try and give you as many details about it as possible here. That was the very first play of the bottom of the third inning. Dubon with the fielding error reaching on that by Corey Seager. Again, kind of a weird spin, but it's a play Seager has to make. Then Yordan Alvarez comes up with 2 outs. And I believe at that point there was runners on first and second, 2 outs. Seager was playing directly over second base, so they were playing Alvarez to pull, rightfully so. But Corey Seager has to go to his right, backhand a ball, and just not able to get a grip on it, and kind of does a little double pump, double clutch thing, not able to get Alvarez at first base. It doesn't go down as an error for Corey Seager, that ground ball that Alvarez hit, but it should have been an error. It's a play Corey Seager has to make. It's not a play that he's not able to make if he just kind of does routine, normal stuff. In that case, Corey Seager having a tough time gripping the ball, maybe getting his footing. It was kind of a little bit of everything. It looked like the feet were a problem in that play. The grip was a problem. They gave Alvarez a hit. It's generous. I think Corey Seager makes that play probably 9 out of 10 times. So that we're not even mentioning the fact that in the top of the third inning, Corey Seager grounded into a double play to end the inning. So probably one of the worst innings you've ever seen from Corey Seager in a Rangers uniform. Grounded into a double play in the top half. In my mind, 2 errors from Seager in the bottom half. But look, it's crazy. It wasn't the difference in the game. It really wasn't. It was not the difference in the game. And Corey Seager more than made up for it with the 2-run homer. Look, you never want to give up the first run of the game on an error. And, Alvarez, that ground ball, because he was safe at first. Dubon, who was running hard the entire time, who, of course, reached on the first error by Corey Seager. He came around to score. You never want to give up the first run of the game. You want to be the team to draw first blood. But that didn't cost the Rangers the game. It really didn't. Really didn't. Bottom of the fourth inning, Bregman hits the solo shot. If I'm not mistaken here, I'm going through the scoring right now. Sorry, that was Jake Myers. Jake Myers in the bottom of the fourth. And then in the bottom of the fifth, Bregman hits the solo shot. So look, the home run ball was plaguing the Rangers a little bit tonight. The home run ball was absolutely a problem. Heaney giving up the 2 solo bombs. Look, at least they're solo shots. At least that's what you say to make yourself feel a little better. They were solo shots, but not ideal. Not ideal. Those are good hitters. Myers is having a great season for the Astros. Not a lot of us Rangers fans maybe know a ton about Jake Myers, but he's having a pretty good year for the Astros. 9 homers, 40 RBI. The average is a little down, 240. But Jake Myers can play some baseball. He's a good player for the Astros. So it's a tough lineup, but nevertheless, you got to make better pitches to some of those guys. Bregman hits the solo shot in the fifth, makes it 3-0. The sixth inning was, I think, the one that really sucked because you had just had the Corey Seager 2-run homer. It's a 3-2 game, basically new ball game in my mind. I know they say that only when the game gets tied after being down, but look, 3-2, it's a brand new ball game. And what you want to do ideally is you want to have a shutdown inning. And at that point, Jose Urena, who's been very good for the Rangers, very good this year. And even with the 3 runs that Urena gave up, he still sports a 3.13 ERA. But Urena gives up the 3-run bomb to Jose Altuve. And that's kind of all she wrote. It is worth noting in the bottom of the 6th, talking about the Rangers' sloppiness out in the field. You know, there was some really, really fortunate hits for the Stros in that inning. Some weak ground balls. I believe in the bottom of that 6th inning, there were 2 balls that were hit by the Stros that were really not hit deserving, if you will. So you had Bregman singling on a real weak ground ball. Didn't amount to anything. That was right after the Altuve home run. Chas McCormick hits a real slow ground ball to Josh Smith. I think McCormick probably would have been safe on that play anyways. But at the same time, Josh Smith throwing the baseball away. You don't know how that changes the inning. When you've got runners on second and third versus runners on first and second, there is a little bit of a difference in the mentality of a pitcher and how they attack the next guy. It's a little bit different when there's runners on second and third. So I really feel like it's a tough spot for Urena. I don't think Josh Smith probably gets McCormick out. McCormick pretty speedy in that play, but it is real unfortunate that immediately after the throwing error by Josh Smith, Altuve takes you deep for the 3-run bomb. That's pretty much the difference in the game, right? So Urena, I'm fine with him being in the game there. I don't think I would have done anything different. I think that was a great guy to throw in that spot. He really got unlucky. He walked Dubon, not ideal, but Urena came in, got a quick 2 outs, and then walks Dubon, 2-out walks. Baseball gods, they hate the 2-out walk. And then after that, you get the weak ground ball, infield hit from McCormick. Josh Smith throws the ball away. And then you got the Altuve bomb, and it all starts with a 2-out walk. So that is on Urena. You shouldn't be and you can't be walking guys with 2 outs. It just never usually leads to good things. However, I wouldn't have done anything different there. Urena in the ball game in that spot with a sub-3 ERA. You'll take it. Hopefully you can get a couple innings out of him. It's just unfortunate the error by Smith immediately precedes the home run by Altuve. But that's just how it goes. But I take it back to the 2-out walk. You get 2 quick outs, then you walk Dubon. You're walking guys at the bottom of the order. That's just not good. So I will give Urena some fault. I don't think we can just lay it all on Josh Smith. Urena, you can't be walking the bottom of the order, guys. You just can't do it. It just never goes well. And I feel like Urena wasn't the only one to do it tonight. I feel like Dubon and some of those other guys at the bottom of the order were getting on for Andrew Heaney too. It just wasn't good all around from the pitchers. The walks were too many tonight. Rangers had a total of 3 tonight, but they're just in big spots and not in ideal moments. But the long ball really plagued the pitchers as well. 3 homers tonight for the Stros. The Rangers do hit the 1 home run thanks to Corey Seager, but Hunter Brown pitched a pretty good game. And then Abreu gives up the RBI single to Seager. But other than that, Presley and Hader come in, don't give up a base runner, and that's ball game. So not a great day to be a Rangers fan. The Rangers, I think, were just not focused today for whatever reason. You know, some days you're just not there mentally, the sharpness, everything. It's just not clicking, and it wasn't today. The Rangers were not sharp in the field, and they were not sharp at the plate. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien about the only ones at the dish, at least at the plate, that came to play. 2 for 18 from the rest of the lineup. That's not going to work in big games like this. It's just not going to work in big games like this. The entire order going 2 for 18, those not named Corey Seager or Marcus Semien. So I definitely am ready to flush this one down the toilet. Absolutely. Get the plunger out, make sure that everything gets down. Totally flush this one out. Because beyond the Corey Seager home run making it 3-2, there was not much to be excited about. And yeah, I really think that the Rangers, they still have a chance. Evo on the mound. So I'm not trying to sit here in gloom and doom. I think it would have been a little bit easier to take a loss tonight without the errors, without the really, really poor performance at the plate from most of the offense, right? Let's say this is an 8-7 ball game. It's close. The offense is humming. It's back and forth. Tonight, it felt like Corey Seager kind of bailed the Rangers out of an embarrassing evening. I know Seager did have the 2 errors out in the field. I say 2 because the Alvarez hit, in my opinion, should have been an error charge to Seager. I know Siegs only gets the 1 error tonight out in the field, but just my opinion there. But he did redeem himself at the plate. Siegs, though, helped to make this one less embarrassing than it should have been. Absolutely. Interesting stat here. Altuve was 5 for 6 against Urania before that at bat. Just too bad. Really, really too bad. And that actually is interesting because at that point, I'm sure that the Rangers knew the stats on that, right? I'm sure the Rangers knew Altuve's 5 for 6 off Urania. There's a base open because Josh Smith had just made the error. And so you had McCormick on second. You had another runner on third. So you got first base open. The only thing I will say about that is, Bregman is up next. So you're going to load the bases for Bregman. I think you probably live with that, though, versus Altuve, who's hitting 305. You got Bregman hitting 257, maybe some more favorable matchups. So maybe that would be potentially something to look at from a coaching perspective. What are we doing? We've got a base open. Altuve's 5 for 6 off Urania. What are we doing? We've got a base open, pitch carefully, and then live and die with Bregman, a 257 hitter. Alvarez is up next. I thought maybe for a second Alvarez was hitting second. In that case, I would have said you got to pitch to Altuve. But I actually would have rather faced Bregman with the bases loaded than Altuve with runners on second and third. Now, the thing I'm interested in is the pitch selection here. So we're getting a little bit nerdy, but it's all good. Let's break this down a little bit, right? So on the Altuve home run, I'm trying to see if I can get a pitch by pitch here. So first pitch is low changeup. Second pitch, 97 mile an hour sinker above the zone. And then, changeup low, sinker high, and then went back to the changeup, 90 mile an hour center cut. I can't imagine they're trying to throw Jose Altuve a center cut changeup in a 1-1 count. So my point is, in that spot, if you want to pitch to Altuve, I probably wouldn't have, but if you want to pitch to Altuve, why are you throwing in the middle? If you look at the chart, it's all pitches right down the middle at varying levels, varying eye levels, but there's nothing on the corners, right? I would think if you're going to even pitch to Altuve, you have got to be painting corners, making him chase, not doing anything over the middle of the plate, whether it's low or high. But I can't imagine in that spot they're trying to throw center cut changeup to Jose Altuve. So a mistake by Urania, but perhaps a bigger mistake by the coaching staff to not just intentionally walk Altuve and face Bregman with the bases loaded. At that point, there's 2 outs. I would have much rather faced Bregman. So I would love to hear if Bochy got asked that question. Y'all know how it goes, though. The best questions, never get asked, it seems like, post-game. I just really, really wish that they would ask some of these sometimes. Rangers media, hey, what's the thought not pitching to Altuve, walking him, and going with Bregman. I just would be curious to see what Bochy liked better about that matchup with Altuve than the matchup with Bregman. I know Bregman had hit the solo shot. That's the only thing I can think of is Bregman had already hit a home run. Maybe they had that in their minds. Hey, Bregman, he's a little bit hot out there. So we're going to go ahead and just see if we can get Altuve. Altuve up to that point, I think was over. So it's likely, if I had to guess, the only reason you're pitching to Altuve there is you're thinking maybe Altuve's having an off night. He's over, and Bregman just hit a home run in his last at bat. I still would have probably rather seen Bregman than face Altuve with runners on second and third and 2 outs. You got a base open, go for it. Aaron, what's up, my man? Look, I definitely don't think that all Rangers reporters are no good. So don't take it the wrong way. I do feel like sometimes in the after the game pressers with Bochy or after the game in the office, I just feel like some of the questions are kind of like softballs, just getting lobbed up to him. You get super blasé answers. And I think for us baseball fans that really get into the X's and O's of the game, so to speak, you want to hear about the mindset in these really big situations, right? I do. I'm curious, like just from a baseball fan perspective, somebody that wants to grow in their knowledge of the game, I want to understand what's the thought process there. I mean, I might not agree with it, but I at least want to try and understand it. So look, I don't think that the reporters are probably asking those hard-hitting questions, but we'll see. Maybe I'll have to go and try and catch some post game after this. Well, let me go through a few other things, box score related here, and then we're going to touch on a few big moments in the game, things to look for the rest of the series. I do like Jonathan Hernandez coming in, 2 shutout innings from him. Jonathan Hernandez, 3.67 ERA on the season. I've been saying I think Hernandez deserves a shot at that 7th inning. I think he has pitched well enough recently to warrant that. Last 7 games, 3.75 ERA, but in his last 3 outings, no earned runs. I think we need to give Jonathan Hernandez a shot at the 7th inning. I don't know how well it's going to go. Hernandez can be inconsistent at times, but I would like to see that happen. Hernandez has been a lot better of late. He started out incredibly rough. In fact, I was probably the biggest critic of Hernandez. And at that time, Tinoco and Yeri Rodriguez before he got traded. So I think that Hernandez at this point, though, has improved enough and has had a good enough stretch to potentially be one of those 7th inning guys. So you maybe have Leclerc, Hernandez, your 7th inning guys. I think Urania tonight in the 6th, that choice, you cannot fault the coaching staff for going Urania. He's got a sub-3 ERA. I'm just kind of saying for the future, I think you give Hernandez a chance in some of those big moments. I think he's pitched well enough to get a little bit more than mop-up duty, which is kind of what he was tonight, right? Hernandez is just eating innings, kind of being the mop-up duty guy. So I think Hernandez deserves a shot. We'll see what happens. Him and Leclerc, I think, would be nice in the 7th inning. Let me get to some comments here. So we've got Gio here. What's up, my friend? Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you. It says, I know the Rangers can't win every game, but at least get tomorrow's game. Still the World Series champs of 2023. Go Rangers. Absolutely. Look, tomorrow's game, you got Evo on the bump. Evo pitched very, very well in Houston in October. I think that you got to feel pretty good with your ace on the hill. Don't know who's going to be pitching on Sunday. So if I'm not mistaken, you could potentially pitch Max Scherzer on Sunday because of the off day. That would be 4 days rest. Scherzer pitched on Tuesday. So you could potentially start Scherzer on Sunday. Maybe. I think that might be why they haven't announced, going back to a comment I saw earlier, why they haven't announced a Sunday starter. I think it might be because they're trying to see how Scherzer feels and potentially trying to throw him on Sunday before the All-Star break. That's about the only thing I can think of. I don't know what else it would be because John Gray would be next in the rotation because he did pitch immediately after Evo. But I wonder if they're trying to toy around with throwing Evo and Scherzer back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. That's what I thought it was going to be initially, but with Gray pitching immediately after Evo earlier in the week, I really thought, well, maybe they're just going to go ahead and roll with Gray immediately after on Sunday, but we'll see. I personally would like to see Scherzer All-Star break coming up, unless Max is having a real tough recovery time or it's just still not right there. I would love to see us throw Evo tomorrow, Scherzer on Sunday, and then everybody gets that extended rest, right? I think that would be super ideal. Hopefully you get a win with Evo tomorrow, and then you throw Mad Max on Sunday, and you've got a chance. You got a chance. I think that's got to be the plan. I agree, Aaron. Still looking good for the weekend. I mean, tonight, it just sucks because there were a lot of mental errors, a lot of physical errors, mental errors. I don't think the at-bats were great tonight. The approaches, that's why I say mental as well. It's not like there were like bad base running mistakes or things like that, but I just didn't feel like the approaches were great. Not Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. Dolly had a pretty nice night, but everybody else didn't like the approaches up at the plate. We had a lot of quick outs tonight too, it felt like. So I hope that the approaches are better tomorrow. I hope that the physical errors, the defensive mistakes, miscues, I hope they clean those up. The Rangers don't have a big margin for error right now. They've got to be sharper. This is do or die time. We've been saying that at Right on Rangers here for the past 2 weeks. CY came out and said it 3 or 4 weeks ago. You got to start playing excellent baseball, and you've got to have sustained excellence when it comes to this stretch of games right before the All-Star break, right before the trade deadline. The Rangers have to be better. And right now, the game that they put out tonight, not inspiring a lot of confidence, but it's just one game. Let's see how they look tomorrow. It is unfortunate that the Mariners are playing the Angels right now, but last time I checked, it was a tie game. Let's go ahead and let's check. Let's do some scoreboard watching. I did say last night, if the Rangers drop this series, let's go worst case scenario here. It really does depend on other teams around them and how bad or how good those other teams do. The Mariners drubbed the Angels yesterday 11-0. Right now it's 4-4 in the top of the 7th. But we need the Angels to beat up on the Mariners a little bit, because if the Mariners sweep or win 3 out of 4 against the Angels this weekend and the Rangers are dropping a bunch of games, that is not going to bode well for the chances at all. So they do have to do, I think, a little bit of scoreboard watching this weekend. I think all Rangers fans have to do that. I think it is relevant in the context of how bad the chances are at this point. We'll see what happens. I agree on that one. Wyatt did get a little unlucky. What was it? Was it runners on first and second earlier in the game? And it was like a 106, like line drive right at Bregman. I forget which inning it was, but I remember that one. It was, I think, runners on first and second, and that was in the first or second inning, wasn't it? Top of the first inning, we had Simmy singling, Josh Smith walks, so it's first and second, 1 out, and Langford hits a line drive right at Bregman at 106.4 miles an hour. That definitely was unlucky, no doubt. That's how baseball goes sometimes. You could say Semien got lucky in that first inning, hitting the soft line drive right off second base. So you know how the game goes. Baseball gives and it takes away. But I agree, Wyatt Langford, that first inning, that ball that he hit was absolutely smoked. 106 off the bat, right at Bregman. That would have easily scored a run. I don't think that's going for extra bases, but at least scoring a run and prolonging the inning there. So it's how baseball goes. Just wasn't the Rangers' night tonight, unfortunately. Now, I think we can kind of put a bow on tonight's game. On the other side, Bregman, Alvarez, multi-hits. That's not what you want to see, is guys like that getting off the hot starts in a series like this. But it is what it is. Our top two guys, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, came to play tonight. So look, I think just as the Astros have a couple of guys who had multi-hits tonight looking good, I think the Rangers did as well. I do wonder what's going to happen with that Adolis Garcia hit by pitch. If you didn't get a chance to watch the game tonight, Adolis Garcia, I believe it was the top of was it the fifth inning or the fourth inning, something like that. Top of the fourth inning, Adolis Garcia hit by a pitch. It was the second pitch of the at-bat. Hunter Brown went in high and tight on the first pitch, and then second pitch came back again and hit Garcia. I think it hit him on the elbow. No injury or anything like that. But I got to say, I question whether that was unintentional. I really do. I really question whether that was unintentional. First pitch of the at-bat was high and tight. And then right away, you come back inside and high again. I don't know. Body language and all that stuff aside, I really find it a little bit questionable that you came high and tight pitch one, and then the very next pitch, you're hitting him. And these aren't curveballs. It's not like Brown lost control of a slider or a curveball or an off-speed pitch. These are 96-mile-an-hour fastballs, high and tight. I don't know. The Rangers, it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of retaliation from the Rangers this year, which, by the way, I know this is a little bit controversial, a little polarizing among baseball fans. I can't say that I'm a big, retaliatory guy. Like you have to go, and if somebody hits you, you've got to go hit them later in the game. I think you kind of have to go case by case, honestly. But I will say this. I'm not going to be surprised if the Rangers hit somebody tomorrow, especially if they get up 3, 4, 5 runs. I'm just not going to be shocked if at some point in this series, one of the big Astros hitters get hit. I would almost say book it and expect it. I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen. But it does kind of feel like the Rangers have gotten hit a lot this year, and we haven't retaliated very much against other teams. Now, some people might say, hey, that's great for the Rangers. They're taking the high road. I am definitely a little more in the old school mentality. You've got to protect your players. You've got to protect the players a little bit. I mean, you cannot just allow other teams to keep hitting your players, especially with 96-mile-an-hour fastballs. Again, if that was a curveball hitting Dolly, a slider, a changeup, I'm probably saying something different right now. Hunter Brown came high and tight twice to Dolly. I don't care what his body language, what Hunter Brown's body language is like after. Anybody can put on a show and go, oh, my bad. My bad, dude. Anybody can do that. All right. I don't even read into the body language. What I read into, what was the pitch before? What was the pitch that you actually hit the player with? And if you went high and tight fastball pitch one, and then you tried to come right back to it pitch two, I have a really hard time saying, oh, that was unintentional. I mean, look, especially with the history that Dolly has with the Astros. So I'm not going to be shocked if somebody gets hit. Alvarez, Altuve, Bregman. It's probably going to be one of those guys. I'm just not going to be shocked if that happens. All right, y'all. There is my wrap on today's game. I don't know if there's a whole lot else worth noting today. If you noticed or observed something else, want to get something off your chest, got a question that you want to pose, I'm more than game from tonight's matchup. Put it in the chat. We'll get to it. Andrew Heaney, in my opinion, another tough luck loser. Andrew Heaney has lost 10 games this year. 10 games. Can y'all believe that? 10 games Andrew Heaney has lost. My goodness. Aaron, we'll see you later, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. So Andrew Heaney has had a little run support in a majority of his starts. He only gets 2-3 runs tonight. So Andrew Heaney's woes continue. Pitching pretty well. Only 2 earned runs tonight from Heaney. Did give up the 2 home runs, but only 2 earned runs, the 2 solo shots. I think Andrew Heaney pitched fine tonight. It wasn't a bad outing from Heaney. I mean, it wasn't a dominating performance, but it wasn't a bad outing. I think he had like 4 strikeouts for the first 2 innings. So Andrew Heaney, tough luck loser tonight. 10 losses on the season for Andrew Heaney. Not good. Rangers go 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. 6 left on base. 2 double plays. Corey Seager and Leody Taveras. And then we had Dolly, Nate Lowe, and Josh Smith all leaving runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Corey Seager did have a 2-out RBI and a 2-run bomb. He had all 3 RBIs for the Rangers tonight. And that's a wrap, y'all, on tonight's game. I do think next 2 games, ideally you win. If you only win one of the next 2, I really think you got to hope that the Angels are beating up on the Mariners and some of the teams in the wild card that are ahead of the Rangers are losing. It would not be good to lose 2 of the next 3. Well, I should say to lose the next 2 or even 1 of the next 2. I do think the Rangers need to win this series to feel good going into the All-Star break. You got the Orioles right out the chute after the All-Star break. I don't know if y'all have looked at the schedule, but the Orioles are coming to town right after the All-Star break. So you've got the really good Baltimore Orioles team coming to your home right after the break. I don't know. I do tend to agree with this comment, which says we have to win the next 2 games no matter what. I do agree there is a great deal of pressure to win the next 2. The reality is if they lose one of the next 2, they're not out of it, but it's not good. It's not a good sign. It's not a good thing going into the All-Star break with Baltimore on the horizon immediately after the off time. So I do tend to think these next 2 games you really, really need to get. So appreciate the comment, and thanks for tuning in again. I know you've been on a few times, Biggie, so thank you so much. Let me go ahead and start looking at tomorrow's matchup. So for tomorrow's game, Evo on the hill for the Rangers. Always feel good when he's on the bump. So Rangers got as good of a shot as any, I think, tomorrow with their ace on the mound. Now let's see who the Astros are throwing, and then we'll break down the career matchups that each lineup has against the opposing pitcher. So I'm probably going to butcher this name. Is it Arrieta? I don't know. He's got a 5.96 ERA for the Astros. I think I said it right, but if I didn't, my bad. But he's coming off, let's see, last 2 starts. Twins, he went 5, gave up 2 earned runs. And then against the Blue Jays, went 4 innings, gave up 6 earned runs, 5.93 ERA in his last 7 games. So after looking at this, I would say this is a game the Rangers can win and probably should win. This next game tomorrow, you got Evo on the mound. You're facing a pitcher that has almost a 6 ERA in his last 7 starts. I do think that it's a fortuitous matchup for the Rangers. Let's see what the lineups are looking like. See if we can potentially key in on some players that have had good success off of either pitcher in the past. Rangers do not have any numbers against Arrieta. Looks like he is, I think in his rookie season, 16 career starts, 5.96 ERA, like I said already. So no matchups to point out from a Rangers offensive side of things. However, on the other side, there are a few guys that have hit Evo very well. Jose Altuve, 375 average and 32 at bats, 7 home runs Altuve has hit off of Evo. Definitely a guy to circle. Yordan Alvarez is 5 for 9 with a home run. Bregman is, I believe, 3 for 11 with the home run. And we've got Pena, 4 for 8 with a home run. So there's a few guys that have some good numbers. Dubon has struggled against Evo. Diaz, the catcher, is 2 for 6. So there are some good matchups in there for the Astros against Evo. However, that being said, Evo is a guy that always is going to keep you in the game for the most part, barring any crazy defensive miscues. But I feel like tomorrow is absolutely got to be the game that you win out of the 3. Hopefully that sets you up for a rubber match on Sunday, maybe with Scherzer on the mound, and then you ride off into the All-Star break on a positive note. That has got to be the plan. That's got to be the plan. Rangers lose one of the next 2, lose the series. I do think you go into the All-Star break with a bit of a sour taste, regardless of whether you're mathematically in it or not. I think winning 2 of the next 2, winning the series will go a long way in keeping everybody positive. The Rangers front office, Rangers fans, the team. I think it'll help keep everybody positive for the rest of July, heading closer and inching closer to the trade deadline. Now, let's go ahead and let's look at some scores from around the league, and then we're going to call it a night after we look at headlines from around baseball. Mariners are still tied with the Angels out in Anaheim. It's a 4-4 ball game in the top of the 8th, 1 out, nobody on base. Hopefully the Angels can come through with some late inning heroics and prevent the Mariners from extending their lead on the Rangers to 8 games. Then we've got the A's, who I believe beat the Phillies. That's right. I thought I saw that earlier. Beat the Phillies 6-2 in Philadelphia. And that's it. Astros win today, improved their record to 50-44 on the year. Looking at the standings, we have got the Mariners leading the division, 7.5 games over the Rangers. With a loss, that would go down to 7. With a win, the Mariners would be 8 games up. If the Mariners lose tonight, Houston pulls within 1 game of first place. In the wild card, the Rangers are now exactly even. They are 7.5 back of first place in the West. They are 7.5 back of a wild card spot. Like we said, Rangers need to start winning some ball games. Another loss, by the way, by 3 runs or less for the Rangers in a game where your bullpen didn't give up. Where your elite bullpen guys, Robertson, Yates, didn't blow a save or a lead or anything like that. Houston on a 4-game win streak. Think it's time to bring that one to an end tomorrow. Nathan Eovaldi, please and thank you. We sure could use it. All right, y'all. Let's take a look at headlines around the league, and then we are going to wrap things up. We talked a little bit at the beginning of the show about the benches clearing. I believe that was in Baltimore, and that was because of a little hit by pitch. Heston Kjerstad, one of the young Angels players, got hit in the head in the 9th inning. Managers were jawing, benches emptied. It's getting a little feisty in that AL East. It's a really, really close race out in the AL East. A lot of teams that are neck and neck. Yankees have been struggling a little bit of late to win ball games. It's getting tense, of course. The Orioles at the top of that division. Those are 2 teams battling it out for first place. Orioles lose tonight. They're on a little bit of a 4-game skid here. Yankees 1 game back of the Orioles for first place in the division. So tension's running high there. AL East baseball. Yeah, you can't beat it in some ways, man. That is just a fun division. A lot of good rivalries. A lot of good teams. I've definitely had my eye on the AL East. Just fun baseball to watch. By the way, Paul Skeens named All-Star starter for the NL. So maybe Marcus Semien gets a hack at Paul Skeens. We'll see how Simmy fares. I think that's the right move. Paul Skeens has a sub-2 ERA right now. Hasn't lost yet in Major League Baseball. It's incredible. I think Chris Sale might have been another choice, but I believe that the Braves are going to throw him this weekend. So I don't think he would have been able to start. So I think Paul Skeens is a great choice. I think people are going to tune in for Paul Skeens. I think Aaron Nola is a guy that maybe stats-wise could have been somebody you would say is deserving, but at the same time, I think Paul Skeens is the best choice. I think he is the most talented pitcher in the NL at this point. The stats, I think, back it up. And I think he is also a guy that is going to get eyes on the screen, right? I think he's going to be a draw for people to tune in, see how he fares against the best batters in the American League. That's going to be a lot of fun. Much like Dolly being in the home run derby, I think that's going to be a blast as well. Hopefully, Rangers can win the next two. It'll make it even more fun. But I'm glad that they added somebody from the Rangers. We talked about this last night, but glad that Dolly will be participating. That's fun for the home fans. It's fun for the fans watching on TV at home. So there's a little bit of All-Star Home Run Derby news for you. Beyond that, Ohtani with some late game heroics in Detroit. And unfortunately, Jose Altuve makes the front page, climbing the Astros record books with another home run. He is, I believe, like third or fourth all-time on the Astros home run list. Who would have thought that when he came up in 2011 when the Astros were just terrible, right? I don't think anybody thought Jose Altuve was going to be up at the top of career Astros home run numbers. So, look, love him, hate him. The man can play baseball quite well. Aaron Judge ties the club mark with 33rd home run before All-Star break. So if he hits another one, he will break the Yankees record for most home runs before the All-Star break. And that's pretty much everything around the league, y'all. So I'll check comments, make sure that I didn't leave anybody out there. Looks like we've covered just about everything. We'll have a video out tomorrow going through our system, which y'all know is betting 1 cent on Texas Rangers money line for every follower. Taking a little bit of a hit these past 2 games. It's been a little bit up and down. Right now, this is, I think, a little bit of a glass half full way to think about it. Right now, we're averaging basically like $7 or $8 in losses per game. That makes it sound a little bit better than the running total, but hopefully the Rangers can get hot and can get us back in the black. That would be strongly preferred. But as I always say at the end of every show, a few different things, right? First of all, if you are not following the account, you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Keep notified every time we go live. Each time we put out our latest and greatest content, you can get to catch up with it, get to see it, be a part of it. And then if you know somebody that loves baseball, loves the Rangers, I would love if you'd share this video with them, share one of my shorts or reels with them, tell them about the channel. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we'll catch you at some point later this weekend post-game or on the replay if you're not able to join in live. Hopefully after a couple of Rangers wins. That is the plan. So we're going to go ahead and sign off for tonight. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Friday night and a good weekend ahead. And as I always say to end every show, God bless. Go Rangers. We'll see y'all